So guys, welcome back to the channel. We got a lot of stuff to discuss today. We're going to be looking at World's Strongest Man 2025. So the first thing we're going to be discussing is the athletes that are going there. So first up, we have the previous winner from 2023, Mitchell Hooper. Tom Stoltman, 3 times World's Strongest Man, won it last year and is hoping to get his 4th title this year. We have Evan Singleton, podium finisher last year, and I would probably consider him a dark horse for this competition, to be honest. Then we got Matt Ragg, Luke Richardson, Trey Mitchell, Luke Stoltman, Eddie Williams, Mateusz Kaliskowski, Rain O'Neill, Evans Nana, Lucas Hatton, Paddy Haynes, Andrew Flynn, Austin Andrade, Nick Gardione, Maxime Boudreau, Wes Derwinski, Thomas Evans, Shane Flowers, Andre Faitu, Tristan Hoth, Bryce Johnson, Pablo Cardiaca, and Jaco Schoonwinkel. And now we do have 2 reserves as well in Tim Buck and Pa O'Dwyer. So lineup this year, I'll be completely honest, is probably the most stacked. We've probably seen it in years. Like there's nobody in there that I'm looking at thinking, do you know what? Like you could have put this person in instead or that person in because they performed better at this show or whatever. Like everyone there is well deserving of it. Like there's no athlete there that I'm like, yeah, like they're going to struggle big time. Like everybody is so, they're at such a high standard. Like the depth of talent there is insane, which is going to make it really interesting to watch. So quickly, we're going to go over the new format for World's Strongest Man. So this is big news in the strongman world at the moment. A lot of people recently, before the changes, were complaining about how World's Strongest Man is more like a TV show and doesn't really test who is the best strongman in the world. But they've recently made changes to that. So let's just, for those of you who don't know, let's go over the old format for World's Strongest Man. So the old format for World's Strongest Man, the one they've been doing the past couple of years, was where they would have this thing called a stone off in the in the heats events. So in the heats events for the stone off, basically 2nd and 3rd place in each event, out of the groups, let's say, sorry, so you might have a group of 5 or 6. 2nd and 3rd would go into a stone off, which means it would be Atlas stones over a bar that they would have to roll back over to each other, and the last person that can actually push it over wins and gets to go through to the final. So they've gotten rid of that now, and beforehand as well, like if you were 1st in your group, you wouldn't have to do the stone off, and 4th, 5th and 6th in the group also wouldn't have to do it because they wouldn't have qualified. Whereas now they've made a huge change, the change being that everyone has to do all 5 events and there is no stone off. And not only that, but the top 2 from each group will be ones going through to the finals, and each of them will be graded against each other. What I mean by that is, like, for example, let's say Tom Stoltman is in group 1, and in the 5 events that he does, there's a maximum of 25. So let's say he picks up 21 points in the heats to win his group, and then Mitchell Hooper wins his group with, let's say, 23 points, and then you have the rest in place above and below that or whatever. So that means that Tom would be going in as 2nd into the finals, which would give him 9 points. So you get a maximum of 10. So in that case, with Mitchell Hooper scoring higher than him, he would have 10 points. And let's say, for example, Luke Richardson comes in, he just about makes the top 10, but is last going in through to the finals, so he would then have 1 point. So it'd be 10, 9, 8, all the way down to 1. And that would use basically all the heats events then count towards the finals. So kind of like the 6th event, sort of, even though it's all 5. So when they start the finals then, Mitchell Hooper in that case will be going in with a 10-point lead. Not 10-point lead, but let's say a 9-point lead over last out of the groups. So no, it's interesting now, and it also means that nobody can just cruise through the heats anymore, like Tom Stolpen has done for years. Let's be honest, like, because with Tom, either he would win his group and not find it very difficult, or he would do what he's done multiple years in a row, where he's just so good at Atlas Stones that he could come either second or third in his group and just win on the Atlas Stones, because literally nobody can challenge him on Atlas Stone for reps. I think there's a few people that come relatively close, but there's no one in Tom's league, like when it comes to Atlas Stones, just a league of his own. So yeah, and like that with Hooper and other people as well have just kind of taken it handy in other groups too, just to get through. So now it's a real test of like who is the best strength athlete, because there is no point in the competition where you can take the foot off the gas. You have to constantly be like trying to beat everybody around you. Whereas originally you would have only been trying to beat the people in your group while you were in the heat stages. And then once you get to the final, that's where you'd be kind of switching on a bit more. So I think this is great. I think it's a much better test of who is the best strongman in the world. It's basically a decathlon now, so you have 10 events. Which we might just get into there actually while we're here. So for the heats events, event 1, we have the loading race. So for this, they're going to have 4 sandbags ranging between roughly 120 to 150 kilos. They have to load that into the back of a Cybertruck. Originally, they were saying about 20 meters they need to be running back and forth. I think they might have reduced that now, because that is kind of bonkers, to be fair. 20 meters back and forth with sandbags that weight, even for those guys, is nuts. Like, so you could be looking maybe 10 or 15 meters. So yeah, I think that will be an interesting one. Now I could see what's his name, Tom could do really well in that. Actually, he'd probably be able to beat Hooper in that, as Tom is unbelievably good at loading medleys, and he has the stride as well because he's so tall. But yeah, so moving to the next event, we have the deadlift for reps. So that's going to be 350 kg. So apparently it's not on an axle bar, but it's going to be a slightly thicker bar than, let's say, like a deadlift bar. So it might be like a standard, I don't know, would it be like a standard Olympic bar? Possibly. Slightly thicker bar, but not super thick like the axle. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I think generally speaking, you're still going to have the top guys doing pretty well in that. Now for the Titans toss, this one's basically like a sandbag throw, but they're doing a bit of a twist on it this year. So it's more about distance as opposed to height. So they have, I think the bar that they're setting that they throw over is about 15 feet, which is kind of standard enough height for them. But they have to run, so there's going to be 10 sandbags, all weighing 15 kg. They have to start at, I believe, 6 meters out from the line, throw 2 sandbags back, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10. And it's fastest time and kind of whoever gets the most sandbags in the time, really. A lot of mistakes could happen here as well, which is going to be really interesting to watch, because I think even some of the best guys could make a huge, could really mess this one up, and that could really mix up the points of it. So that'll be an exciting one to see. Then we're on to the overhead medley. So very similar to what they did at Europe's Strongest Man recently. So they have to do 2 reps of a 90 kg dumbbell, 150 kg circus barbell, 150 kg log press, and 150 kg axle press. And that's kind of done for time as well. That's going to be really tough to do, I think. We saw a lot of the guys at Europe struggle with it. I think the circus barbell will make it a bit easier. I think more people manage to get through it. But even still, it's a very cardiovascularly challenging event, because it's a press medley, and normally press medleys are 1 rep of everything, but 2 reps of, like, not super heavy weights for the guys, but moderate weights, like, and you're trying to do it fast. There's a lot that can go wrong, and not even that, like, it's going to be tiring. It's going to be pretty tiring. So again, another good one to watch. Now on to the stone medley. So this one now I'm quite excited to see. So it's all going to be natural stones. So they have 4 stones they have to lift. So the first one is a stone press. So a bit like the block press they've done in other events before, where they get the weight up here. 122 kg here, they have to do put it overhead, drop it back down. Next one then is a stone to shoulder with 160 kg. Then we have a Husfeld carry, which will be 180 kg. I don't know the distance for that, could be up to 20 meters. I don't think it's confirmed. Then they have the stone load. So it's just gonna be like a regular 108 kg to 202 kg stone, something in that weight range. And I think they have to load that to like 4 or 5 feet or something like that. I think they are only allowed tacky towels. I don't think they're allowed to use actual tacky, which could cause a couple of problems, especially on that last one, especially on the stone load at the end. So that could cause some upsets as well. So no, I think the heats events look pretty solid. It'd be very interesting to see who gets through on that. I'm not going to do any predictions as of yet, not in this video, because we don't have the groups yet. We have the guys, but we don't have the groups. And we can't really say who's likely to do what until we have the groups. But I think it will be really interesting to see. I'm really excited to see this now. So, moving into the finals events. The first thing we have is the carry and hoist. So they have to do a Zercher carry, which is basically like you have like a bar up in your arms here that you have to run with. I actually did my first ever strongman competition. Forget what weight it was like 110 or something. But this one is 200 kg for them, which is nuts, especially considering they don't really train it very often. 20 meters, which is again nuts. And then they have to do some sort of a hoist. I think they have to pull something up 7 meters. It might be like a flag hoist. Do you know what it might be similar to actually would be the, it was done in 2021 Worlds, I think. Or 2020, I think it was the year that Alexei won. They had a mystery event in the finals and it was some sort of a flag heist, but it was just a flag heist. There was no kind of medley before it where they had to kind of jump up and pull the rope down and make sure it was coming down with him. It might be similar to that. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see now what way that one actually turns out, because we don't have all the details, but yeah, or what weight that's going to be either. So that'll be really interesting to see. So next then we have an exciting event, an 18-inch elevated deadlift for max weight. So suits and straps are allowed. I think they're going to be starting at around 400 kg. I think we're going to see big weights being lifted on this, particularly by Mitchell Hooper. I think he's going to pull a serious number. So that's going to be exciting. Then we have the Hercules hold. Now I'm not sure the weight of this. Hercules hold is basically where they're going to be standing in between two pillars. They have handles then they have in their hands like this, stretched out like that, and it's basically tested grip, kind of grip endurance, so you're just holding on as long as you can. That'll be exciting to watch now, because that realistically more than anything is kind of, it's a psychological battle. Like you're going in there and it's like you're fighting the pain. That's what it is. It's pain tolerance. So it's going to be really cool to watch. So next one then we have the Flintstone press from Max. Now this is probably one of the events I'm most excited for the whole competition, to be honest, because Lucas Hatton, my God, if that man gets through to the finals this year, we are going to see some big weights being pushed overhead. He just did 272 or 600 pounds in in a recent training video, and the press did not look hard at all. The only bit he actually struggled with was getting his legs together after he'd done the split jar. The press was just stupendous. It was just so easy. And like, I think he has 280 in there. I genuinely do. It's actually mad to think that he is about to overhead press my max deadlift. That's quite humbling. Quite humbling indeed. So yeah, like I think when it comes to the Flintstone press, the behind the neck press, like it's very important to bear in mind too that a lot of these guys have been training this since the Arnolds. So like they're going to be at a point where something that would have been a new enough movement to them before is now kind of like second nature almost. So I think we're going to see a lot of big numbers being hit. I would actually go as far as to say that if you're not hitting 250 in this event, I think you're automatically outside like the top 4 or 5 guys. I think there's a lot of guys that could hit that. again, like Lucas, I just think is going to absolutely blitz this event. It's just, he's just built for it. He's just so good at it. So that's going to be really exciting to see, to be honest. Yeah, so moving on to the next event then, we have the stone run. So basically just like a normal like stone run, only they're carrying stones, I believe between 150 and 210 kilos. So 6 stones, and they have to run with them and then load them onto the platforms. So that'll be interesting to see. I think the guys are going to be pretty cooked at this stage, so you could see a couple of people having to kind of run and kind of squat down a bit and run again, especially after like the 2 deadlift events and everything. So that'll be an interesting one to see, but I still can't see anyone beating Tom Stoltman on that unless he picks up an injury or something. I just like Tom Atlas Stones equals win. So yeah. Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting show. Really looking forward to it. I'm so happy about the changes as well. I mean, my God, does not having a stone off make a huge difference to this? It brings a lot of opportunities to guys. Pity now, like the likes of Bobby Thompson isn't competing this year, because that was an event that would always stop him from getting through to the finals, because historically he is not the greatest at Atlas Stones. So I think having the stone medley, where you're pressing things and doing other different things, would suit him a bit better. Plus the fact that everyone has to do it, and he'd have a couple of events there where he could pick up some decent points. So, yeah, I think, let's say, in the future, if they keep a similar format, I think it will really suit the likes of Bobby Thompson, where it wouldn't have done in the past. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this year's World's Strongest Man. As I say, I'm not going to make any predictions just yet. We're going to wait until the groups come out. I believe they're coming out this week at some point. It is now Tuesday as I'm recording this, so I'd be hoping by Friday or Saturday it should be out, and we will get you up to date on that as soon as we possibly can. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for today, I think. So if you liked the video, make sure to like it, subscribe, share it around to people, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one, guys.